A 10-month-old baby sleeping in her own crib just feet away from her mom goes missing without a trace.
Just please bring her home.
A new timeline surfaces. We discover two separate neighbors see baby Lisa alive the night she goes missing.
I see a man carrying a baby.
One of her stolen phones was used to make a call to the ex-girlfriend of a local handyman between 8 and 8:30.
He said, "Where are the phones?" And they weren't on the counter where I left them. They were gone.
The most dramatic part of the Michael Jackson trial now playing out in an LA courtroom. Closing arguments from both sides today.
David Walgren closing for the prosecution. He went through every way in which Dr. Murray failed.
Justice demands a guilty verdict.
Closing arguments from the defense.
Dr. Murray did not kill Michael Jackson.
Well, my special guest tonight is HLN's very own Nancy Grace. You know, she's not only the queen of the courtroom, but she's also reigning over the dance floor on this season's Dancing with the Stars. She's the breakout star of the whole show. Nancy, good to see you. And Nancy, let me get your take on this. What did you think about today's closing arguments, and who do you think came out on top?
Well, I thought the closing arguments for both sides were pretty good. I think the prosecution won the closing arguments, not because of any particular prowess of the prosecution. I mean, he was great, but the defense really doesn't have anything to work with. I mean, what do they have? That Michael Jackson shot himself up with so much propofol that his whole body was bloated and saturated on the inside with propofol. You can't shoot yourself up with that much propofol because when it goes into your system, it immediately knocks you out. I've been under propofol for surgery. The last thing I remember, I saw my doctor's face. He said, "Where do you want to be?" I said, "Home." And I woke up. It was all over. That's how propofol works. Jackson could not possibly have self-administered. And that is the entire defense, that there never was a saline drip bag with propofol upside down in it with Conrad Murray's left index finger on it. Ryan, of course he administered it. So, you know, the defense did the best that they could with what they had. They did do something very wise, though, Ryan, as you probably already pointed out. They did not put Conrad Murray on the stand because he would have been sliced up like a Thanksgiving turkey.
So even after all of this, you don't think that Conrad Murray should have taken the stand? Because I agree with you. Him taking the stand, I couldn't imagine what that cross-examination would look like. It would be a cross-examination for the
deal, Ryan. Here's the deal. At the very beginning of every trial, every judge I was ever in front of in a criminal case would tell the jury at the get-go, the defendant is under no duty to take the stand. He or she start reading the Fifth Amendment, right to remain silent. Listen, when somebody says, "I take the Fifth," well, you know they did something, okay? Or why else would they take the Fifth? So this jury expected Conrad Murray to take the stand. But here's my theory on that. It's better for the jury to suspect Conrad Murray is guilty and he remains silent than for him to take the stand and confirm their suspicions, okay? Because he could never have survived cross-examination.
Oh, my goodness. Now, Nancy, I got to tell you, the way this started out, it really struck me because, you know, you see these cases all the time. You and I have watched so many. We've been a part of so many. And you see the victim not really identified. Sometimes prosecutors, they get caught up in their cases and they don't focus on the victim. Well, arguably, one of the most poignant moments today, the prosecution, David Walgren, humanized Michael Jackson as a dad whose children are now fatherless. Take a look at this.
Conrad Murray left Prince, Paris, and Blanket without a father. For them, this case doesn't end today or tomorrow or the next day. For Michael's children, this case will go on forever because they do not have a father. They do not have a father because of the actions of Conrad Murray.
Nancy, that moment really struck me because at that moment, you realize, especially in the beginning of their argument, there is a victim here. There is somebody who was harmed. There was somebody who died. And we have to hold somebody responsible. Seemed very powerful to me. I wanted to get your take on it.
Well, Ryan, I knew that when I saw the picture of Michael Jackson's dead body. But speaking of victims, there are 3 more victims. You know, Ryan, you're preaching to the choir right now, friend, because, you know, I got pregnant when I was 47, much older than most moms. And I actually lay awake many, many nights praying that I make it at least till my late 80s, so I can be there for my twins, who are now only 3 years old. I think about what their life would be like without me loving them. These children don't have a mother. We all know that story. Now they don't have a father, Ryan. Now, think about it. They may have money, or maybe Jackson spent it all, I don't know. But money cannot replace the person that loves you the most. I don't know about you, Ryan, but I talk to my parents at least once a day. Before I make a big decision, I talk to them about it because they love me. They want what's best for me. Who's going to be looking out for these children, say in 10, 15 years, when their grandmother has gone on to heaven? Nobody. They won't have anybody thanks to Conrad Murray.
You know, you talk about that, and I think about the same thing. The idea that there is no replacement for your parents. There is no replacement for family. And you know what's interesting, Nancy? So many times people would ask me, well, do you think you're going to see the children in the courtroom? Do you think they want to be there? I don't think so. I think it was a great idea that Catherine and the family kept them away so they didn't have to go through that. But there is no
Catherine didn't keep them away.
What happened?
The prosecution did that because the prosecution could have called them if they had wanted to. And that's a very hard decision to make because, you know, Ryan, as you well know, you have one shot at this thing. You got one swing at the ball. Because if he's found not guilty, double jeopardy disallows the state from retrying Conrad Murray. But they chose to take a little bit of bite out of their case by not putting the children on the stand. And they did that out of respect for Michael Jackson and Michael Jackson's mother, who did not want those children to take the stand. That's what that was all about.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Nancy, let's talk about the defense side of it, because the defense, they did a lot of things in this case, and I agree with you. They had a strong argument. They did what they could with what they had, but they really tried to touch on this point of, if it wasn't Michael Jackson, would we be here? So let me show you this. The defense kind of refused to go down without a fight when they were talking about all of this and talking about Michael's involvement. Let's take a look.
Audie could help Michael Jackson succeed. He could help him sleep normally. He believed that. He was wrong. He was wrong. Because Dr. Murray had no control over this situation. Because what was happening in the background, he was just a little fish in a big, dirty pond.
You know, and that kind of relates to it, because right there, Nancy, he's saying, hey, he just got caught up in this whole Michael Jackson thing. Michael Jackson was the one with the problems. And Dr. Murray, he just kind of stepped into this situation. And, folks, would we even be here if Michael Jackson wasn't the defendant in this case?
Ryan, have you completely lost your mind? You actually asked that with a straight face. He got caught up. Nobody made Conrad Murray go buy 4 gallons of propofol. This is only supposed to be used in the operating room. Conrad Murray had gallons and gallons, like a milk gallon, of propofol. Yet he's trying to tell a jury that he was trying to wean Michael Jackson. There was no... Here, I've got the autopsy report right here. An impartial doctor, the medical examiner, says self-administering is impossible in this case. He did not self-administer. And Ryan, you heard the jury's charge from the judge. The judge instructs them that even if Michael Jackson self-administered this drug, you can still find this doctor guilty. Now, true, I said O.J. Simpson would go down for double murder. I said Top Mom would go down for murder. I was wrong. But I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm saying it's all over but the sentencing. And all this business about we wouldn't be here if it weren't Michael Jackson, no. You can't have it both ways. Everybody's always screaming, oh, celebrities get all the attention. Well, now a celebrity is a victim, not a defendant. Lady Justice is blind, or she should be, to whoever the defendant or the victim is. And I'm on the side of Lady Justice. This case must be prosecuted, and this jury must return a verdict of guilty.